Welcome back. It's Maxine, your spiritual astrologer, sharing astrology in a more empowering and soul-centered way. And in this episode, we're going to talk all about the 5 key spiritual messages you need to know for this upcoming new moon in Gemini on the 6th of June, 2024. So we're going to get into all 5 of those spiritual messages, reminders for your soul, giving you ideas of what to reflect and journal on the new moon or around this time. I'm even going to talk about the transits at this time, aspects being made to the moon, like the conjunction with Venus, almost said Genus, Venus, the planet of love, also the square to Saturn, especially with Jupiter moving into Gemini. This is a huge new moon to pay attention to, and we'll get into why that is in the episode. So we'll talk about the Gemini new moon and what those 5 key spiritual messages are for you, but also, the transits around this time, because as I always say, every new and full moon, they are those check-in points. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, we have either a new moon or a full moon, and it helps us to tune out the noise and into ourselves, into our intuition, and see what is it that perhaps is trying to knock on our door and get our attention. So that's what these episodes every 2 weeks are always about. And just a few things to note at the start. This new moon is taking place in the sign of Gemini at 16 degrees. So if you know a bit more astrology, you can look to your birth chart and make note. Do you have any planets in Gemini? Maybe your sun is there, maybe your moon, your rising sign, your Venus. Look to see if you do have planets, especially near the middle degrees of the sign. And if you do, this will be a more significant new moon for you. You may feel a lot more coming up at this time, a lot of changes brewing, just something is happening perhaps more obviously that speaks to what I'm sharing today. So that's part of it. And then likewise, if you have any planets in Sagittarius, Virgo, or Pisces, again, this might be one of those new moons that you really feel a lot's coming up for you. So every new and full moon, you're always going to feel it, but certain ones you do tend to feel a bit more strongly. So that's a note on that, but everyone feels the new and full moons. And if you want even more detail, I always send out moon horoscopes for free, totally. But every new and full moon, you can get those by email if you sign up over on MaxineLuthia.com. And I have so much fun writing those and love hearing what comes up for you there too. So you can find that on my website, and there are other ways to learn with me there too. If you want my free astrology basics guide, if you want to book a reading with me, or get one of my self-paced courses, or even sign up for the next round of spiritual astrology school. I have flashcards, like all sorts of things. So if you're interested, check that out. Okay, so now let's get into it. All 5 of those spiritual messages for this Gemini new moon. What is it that you need to know? What reminders does your soul need to hear? So as I go through these, again, listen with your intuition, and if you've heard these before, you know what to do, but listen to see which one really jumps out, which one is speaking to your soul, which one is a reminder that's meant for you this new moon. And let me know if you feel like sharing either here on YouTube if you're watching, or if you're listening, let me know on Instagram, send me a message. I'd love to know which one really resonates for you. So message number 1 for the Gemini new moon is be curious. Be curious. So let yourself learn new things. Be open to new experiences. Have conversations. Ask questions. Really let yourself see things in a different light in some way. So this could quite literally be learning something. Maybe you're reading lots of books at this time. You're curious about a topic and want to dive deeper or explore new interests. Maybe taking a course or doing something of that sort. But even it can just be being more open-minded. So maybe there's something at this time, some situation, some person, something that you've judged as, you know what it is. It's known. It's done. Like the door has been closed there. And now at this Gemini new moon, you are opening that door and you're seeing it, especially in a more loving light and a more compassionate light. You're seeing things more clearly and almost seeing it in a way that you hadn't considered before. So there can definitely be perspective shifts at this Gemini new moon, or the sense of opening a door to something that was once closed. and allowing, especially for conversations that maybe need to take place, or thinking about something differently. So new perception in some way. So it can show up in different ways, but really it's that sense of needing to be more open-minded, to switch things up, maybe have more variety in your day, that kind of thing, like the spice of life. If things feel stale, wanting to, again, open your mind to what else could you do? How can you make things feel fun again and interesting in some way? And that might be in a relationship, that might be in your day-to-day routine, it might be at work. There are different contexts for it, but letting yourself, again, be more open to more possibilities in some way than you previously had been. And then message number 2 for the Gemini new moon is connect and open your heart. It's really a new moon, not only about opening your mind, as we saw in the last message, but opening your heart up and letting yourself, daring to be vulnerable with others, to let others see the real you, see who you are to your heart, and be accepted, finding your people who love and embrace you as who you really are, who you've grown to become. And why this is so strong for this new moon, that longing for connection, is because, first of all, Gemini is already that social butterfly, so there's that part to it. But also this new moon is conjunct Venus, the planet of love, the planet of relating to others, also very social. So there's this need to really reflect on your relationships of all kinds, your community, your sense of belonging, and see with this new moon, this new start, this new potential there, what is it that you want to see going forward? Do you want to perhaps have more friendships? Do you want to deepen your connections? Are you looking for love? Do you want to go on a date? Do you want to join, some meetup on the weekends, or reach out to that person you just met? This is that new moon to set that in motion, to get really intentional and to really actively reach out. And it's so important too to know that at this time too, we have Jupiter in Gemini. So everything I'm saying at this time might really spark something at this new moon that lasts really strongly. You have that support with this new intention for the whole upcoming year, all the way through till June 2025. So just to keep that in mind as well, this new moon is not like the others in many ways, because you have Jupiter really supporting this growth. Whatever seed you plant now is very important. Probably should have mentioned that at the start, but there it goes. So that's your second message, is to connect, to be open-hearted, to be vulnerable enough to let yourself be seen as who you are, so that when you make that connection, when you make that friendship, it's based in authenticity. They see you and they're embracing that, rather than trying to be who you anticipate they would like you to be. It's letting yourself just be who you are and letting your guard down a bit. It makes so much more of a difference, because then you're actually finding those people who love you for you, and that's what you deserve. And that's what this Gemini new moon is all about. And then spiritual message number 3 for this Gemini new moon is say the thing. This is where communication comes into play. So if there is something, some situation, some relation, some dynamic at play where you feel stuck, where you feel restricted, where you feel blocked, at this time, this new moon is actually squaring Saturn, so you might be experiencing a lot of that, a lot of responsibilities or pressures, or just something not going your way or not moving quick enough. And this new moon is asking you to kind of find some relief in communicating and saying the thing. And that one song keeps playing in my head, like, say what you need to say. I'm not going to sing it, but there's the sense that there's something that you need to say, and it's like, now is the time to communicate. So be direct. That's Mars in Aries. They're giving you that fire, that courage to say the thing, but also balance that with Venus conjunct this new moon in Gemini, which is all about that sense of diplomacy there, that sense of being more delicate, being understanding, and not coming across as an ambush is what I'm getting there. So there might be something where you feel very strongly about something, and that's beautiful to have that sense of passion, but there's this weight that you need to, there's a timing that you have to honor in some way. So maybe you're planning something. Maybe you want to make sure you're on the same page. Maybe there's something that's getting in your way and there needs to be a conversation, or just letting people know what you're doing so that way when you do it, there's not so much resistance or butting of heads. And it might even just be voicing how you feel about a situation where you didn't even let yourself speak about it. So that is this Gemini new moon, allowing yourself to communicate in order to release some tension in some situation or how you're feeling about something at this time. And last thing I'll say to that is also boundaries are a big thing, a big theme for this new moon, this sense of, again, needing to perhaps find more time to be curious and have more time for the things that really light you up by letting yourself say no to the things that do not light you up, that are the opposite of that feel like very heavy and feel, there are some real responsibilities, but there might be things that you're saying yes to out of a sense of just what you should do. And this Gemini new moon is asking you to say, what are those things that you're just doing out of this false sense of what other people want you to do, and you don't actually have to do them. So just to add that in there too. But yeah, saying what needs to be said. And then spiritual message number 4 is befriend your mind. Calm your mind. Really come into right relationship with your mind. So if it just feels like you're just constantly thinking all these things and bombarded by these monkeys of your mind, like things just going on up there and it's ruling you, and you're just like letting anything come in with no filter, then this is a new moon where you have this opportunity to start fresh there, to set new habits, to set a new way of navigating the thoughts that you think, the words that you speak, your experience internally, coming into right relationship with your mind, being mindful of your mind. And so this new moon, if you feel like you want to set a new habit of maybe meditating in the morning, not to clear your mind, but to observe your mind and how you think and what thoughts keep repeating themselves, what patterns are showing up, what shadows, and being mindful of just, again, the words that you think about yourself. When you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? I used to have such negative self-talk that it just makes me so sad to think about now. I treated myself so poorly. So if you're there, this is no judgment to you, but really being mindful of, I keep using that word mindful, but it's true, just really being observant of the way that you're speaking and getting curious about it and seeing how might it look if you spoke to yourself with love, if you used your words, your mind to build yourself up, speaking to yourself as you would a friend. So this is a new moon that can really support you in that. I actually have a meditation too, if you're interested, a positive energy affirmations meditation, and it's so good. It's something that I do every morning, just listening to what are those positive thoughts? How can you plant positive thoughts where you once placed negative ones? Because you can grow flowers or you can grow weeds, so what is it that you desire? And so that's a whole other thing. I could go on and on about this. It's something I'm so passionate on, but really this new moon in Gemini, observe how you use your mind. Is it a tool in your co-creation? And if not, that's okay. But how might you work toward a better relationship to your mind? So that way it's working for you rather than against you. And then spiritual message number 5 for the Gemini new moon is adapt. Adapt. And what I mean by this, it's about being flexible. It's about accepting what is, appreciating what is, but knowing that you're not conforming, you're not contorting and twisting yourself. I don't mean adapting in that way to what is. I don't mean accepting defeat or just being whoever everyone else wants. That's the shadow side. What I mean here in this message is there might be some very real situation, some responsibility, some obligation, some duty, just something coming up, some block to what it is you want. And this new moon is asking you to not give up hope. It's asking you to adapt, to see, okay, this is what it is now, but this is where I want to be. And setting your sights further, letting yourself strive for more while not letting the current situation, the current circumstances, whatever that might be, not letting that crumple you. So adapting to make sure that you're preserving your dignity, you're preserving your hope, you're preserving your sense of who you are. and your dream, your goal, what it is you want and desire. So that's what I mean here, is allowing yourself to perhaps appreciate what it is you do like, what you can do, calling back your power, even in small ways, like little pockets of time throughout your day, or how you go about doing something, or something of that sort. It may feel small, but it's not. So as an example, maybe you just have a super crummy job or some situation, it's not what it is you want. You're not settling for that, but you are accepting what is in this moment, in this now moment, in this season of life. It's not forever. And you're setting your sights on your goal, you're setting your sights on your future, and creating little steps now to get you where you want to be. So you're adapting, not just to accept defeat, but to adapt to your situations. You don't have to be miserable every day until you quit, right? Something of that sort. Like, I know when I was working at a crummy job, I woke up at 5 a.m. every day to study astrology. And it seems like a small shift, but it was something that allowed me to get through the tough days. It was made better by letting myself know that I'm working toward where my goal, at what I do today, being a full-time astrologer. It's in those little moments. So holding on to hope and adapting to that situation so you're not miserable every day. So you find your way out through preserving your dream and, working toward that, knowing that it is possible. But for this season of life, let's not fight what is. Let's work with it. Work with what you got. So those are all 5 spiritual messages for this Gemini new moon on June 6th, 2024. And I hope now you take that spiritual message, whatever that looked like for you, and reflect now and see, okay, how can you create some new start for yourself here? How can you welcome a new beginning? Reflecting, journaling on this, writing out what is your new intention? What do you want to call in for yourself? What are you affirming going forward? And again, this new moon is so important because it's a new moon in the sign of Gemini, where Jupiter has just moved into end of May. So we're having this whole year-long transit with Jupiter supporting this new start that you're beginning at this new moon. So it's really important. You're given such a boost to this new moon intention, whatever that is for you. So let me know what your message is, what one really spoke to you. I'd love to know. You can let me know on Instagram or on YouTube, and make sure that you also check out my moon horoscopes. You can sign up for those for free on MaxineLuthia.com. And again, you'll see other ways to learn with me, book a reading with me. I have courses, all of that. But that's all I have for you. Thanks so much for listening to the end, for being here. I love giving these updates every 2 weeks. They're just so special and near and dear to my heart. And if you've ever reached out to me and shared what's come up for you with these, I just thank you so much, because it means the world to me. So thank you for being here. Happy Gemini new moon. Many blessings to you. And until next time, bye.